First up, I want to get to Diddy. Let's bring this Diddy update. Now, mind you, people, his time has come as far as now seeing his day in court. We got a lot of stuff that has developed ever since he was taken into custody. We watched his docket. We read a lot of paperwork, his indictments, his updates, his new motions that went in. We followed updates regarding Cassie. You know, all the drama leading up to now. Today is the beginning of his trial. I believe today is official jury setting, and then I believe next Monday is opening statements. Okay, and so let's just get a quick refresher of where we're at, where we are jury wise, and also what he's now walking into, because it's not going to be just talk about and debates about freak offs. All right. But the man's time has come, and it is what it is.
The sex trafficking trial of rap mogul Sean Diddy Combs is set to begin tomorrow. Nearly 8 months after his arrest, jury selection will begin here in Manhattan. It is happening the same day as the Met Gala, where Diddy was once a fixture among A-list celebrities. And Diddy has pleaded not guilty in the case, but if convicted, he faces what could amount to a life sentence. Joining me now to break it all down is former Florida State Attorney Dave Aronberg. Dave, always good to see you. I'm curious how challenging you think it is going to be for the defense and the prosecution to pick the right jurors in this high-profile case. What are they looking for, and is it possible to find someone who doesn't know this man?
Phil, good to be with you. You know, you don't need an empty vessel. You don't need a blank slate. You just need to have jurors who are willing to set aside what they know, what they've heard, and just follow the evidence and the law. It happens all the time. We've seen higher profile people than Diddy go to trial, like Donald Trump, and we're able to find an impartial jury of their peers. So it doesn't need to be someone who is just living in a cave, who's never heard of this. They can hear things and know things, but they just have to commit under oath to follow the evidence and the law. And both sides get to try to vet and weed out those people who can't do that.
Going to be a process. Central witness in this case is Diddy's ex-girlfriend, the singer Cassie Ventura. In terms of this case, how significant is that video that most people have seen by now of Diddy attacking her in a hotel?
It's huge. People lie, but video does not. And it is telling that Diddy has denied everything until this video was shown. After that video was shown, he then fessed up to it. He admitted he erred, he screwed up, and yet he's denying everything else that has not been caught on video. So that video will say a lot, because I don't expect Diddy to take the stand. And they're going to see Diddy, though, with their own eyes when he didn't think anyone was watching. And it exposed him as a liar at the very least, because he denied anything happened. And Cassie is going to take the stand. So I think it's going to be devastating for the jurors to see with their own eyes him acting in an abusive way, physical violence, because that's part of the charges here, that he used physical violence to keep people under his control.
Right. And he said this didn't happen until the video came out. Yeah, I see your point there. All right. What do you think we'll be hearing during opening statements in the days coming?
Consent. That's going to be Diddy's defense. He's going to say that these women are engaged in a money play, that they were his girlfriends in the past, and for whatever reason, money, power, revenge, they want a piece of him and are lying. But video speaks otherwise. That video is damning. And also, they've got all this other evidence. It's not just a he said, she said. They've got other witnesses who are going to testify. They've got the evidence that were collected by investigators that show that this didn't seem to be a purely consensual party. This seemed to be something where he was making people do things against their will. And that's why all this other corroboration is so important, because Diddy is not denying that he engaged in a lot of this conduct. He's just saying that it's based on adult consensual relationships.
All right. Well, we'll see what the jury says, and we have to see who the jury is first. All right. Dave Aronberg, thanks so much.
Thank you, Phil.
Interesting. Okay. So when we talk about jury selection, and then when he made a good point, you know, Trump, who they say is more popular than Diddy, you know, he had to go to trial. He had his day in court, right? And you still need to put together a jury selection for that. Diddy is no different. So it's just human nature, okay? Are these people going to swear in under oath saying that, listen, I'm not here with any bias. I'm not a fan of Diddy. I'm not a fan of Cassie. I don't care nothing about the man's personal life or some of his choices. I'm just here to follow law. I'm here to listen to the trial. I'm here to listen to prosecution, defense. And then when it's time for me to deliberate, I'm going to go in the back and I'm going to make my decision. There are people like that out there, but that's the point of the process of both sides going through jury selection, right? You know, the prosecution side, the defense side, they get to interview, they get to see each person, they get to strike and say, we don't want this person. They get to vote, right? So that's part of it. It's still a process that is not perfect. Okay, you still have the human nature element. You still have mistakes. You have to be qualified. You have to be talented. There's people that are great in speaking publicly in court, driving home that point of this person is innocent or this person is guilty. They speak emphatically. They have charisma. Look at Brian Steele. I think that's one of the reasons why Brian Steele was added to the team. I think he should be one of the people, one of the that's getting up there and talking and addressing the jury and addressing the court frequently. Right. He just does an amazing job. Even when it's time for him to be a little bit edgy and go at the judge or whatever, he's going to stand tall. He's going to deliver his points clear. So you got people like that on your team. You got research people, right? You bring in people just purely to do jury selection. That was Keanu Reeves' first job under the devil, literally Al Pacino in Devil's Advocate, right? When he brought him in, right? That was the first thing he tested him with. Like, all right, let me go put you on a jury selection and see how you do with that, right? So you got specialists in that. They're supposed to read character. They're supposed to read body language. You know, that's where you start hearing about a jury full of my peers, a jury full of white women, a jury full of only white people versus a black defendant, or even reverse. That's where you start hearing those narratives and those headlines come out. Okay, but it's on them to go through that jury selection process and do it in a manner that is experienced and try to cater to what you think is going to help your defense. If you want to, if you're going after a jury full of women, so be it. If you're going after a jury full of men, if you want a mixed bag, but you have to read them at the individualized level. Now, me personally, they say this is one of the ways to get off of jury duty, right? If they interview you and just give a super biased answer, and then they'll be like, "Nah, we're not picking you." So they interview me, right? Let's say I'm team Cassie, right? And they interview me and they say, "Hey, do you know Diddy?" I'm like, "Hell yeah, I know Diddy. He messed over my favorite R&B artist, Cassie." I'm like, they say that's one of the ways to get out of jury duty, right? But how many people will maybe feel like that and just not say it? How many people in the back of their minds saw that video and say, "I feel a way towards this guy"? Now that leads into the video, right? Let's go there. That was a big piece of this update leading into jury selection today. Obviously, that video being decided upon by the judge to be allowed in was huge. And you see what they broke down there. We say it a million times. Character and credibility is some big targets for either side, prosecution or defense, to always attack. Put Woody up there. You want to define him as a career criminal, at which point, once you paint that picture in front of the jury, everything after that you get to make them question and say, is he lying? Is he telling the truth? They just did that with Diddy. They said, well, pay attention, people. Diddy was claiming to be innocent. He didn't do nothing to nobody. The video came out, and then he came out and admitted to it, owned up to it, and apologized. So even his apology video, look how these follow-up videos, when people address the public, are used against him. Big U got additional charges simply from doing that Instagram live video while he was on his way to turn himself in. It was things that he said in there. They already had the warrant out for his arrest. They already pulled up a bunch of rolling 60s and indicted these guys and started taking people into custody. And he was one of the last people on the lam that they needed to find. And he wants to do a public video. He wants to say, "Yo, Whack 100 is, and this person and that person, they did this, they do that, but I don't know. This isn't true. I ain't steal no money." And there's certain things that he said that they used against him. Right? It's no different than Diddy. Diddy has public statements, right? As far as what he was going through with Cassidy, and then that video came out, and then he's got that epic video sitting there apologizing, saying, "I need help." So that's something early for the prosecution side to target and say, credibility wise, why could we trust this man as being honest? Oh, remember when there was all these accusations on him about Cassie? Look right here what he was saying, and then look after the video dropped and look what he was saying. So how can we trust him when we start accusing him of all of these other charges? He's going to lie unless we show video. That's what they're going to paint, right? And that's just a piece. Once again, just going at character and credibility of the defendant. So it's starting off obviously as an uphill battle, especially when they allow videos like that to come in. It was just less than a week and a half ago where that was a big topic. You know, maybe 2 weeks where it was like, listen, that CNN footage, it was altered. They think that the sequence was changed. There's places where it's sped up, slowed down, and pieces that were removed and whatnot and altered. And they try to use that as grounds to get it tossed. Judge said, we letting that thing in. Well, so we're gonna follow up probably by tomorrow, I guess, to see what's finalized with the jury selection. But it is now his time.